Very good. Well, on the flip side of that, if we talk about some of the good AI stuff we've seen recently, in one of our projects with a client, with a big healthcare client, we were analyzing unstructured customer data in different languages across Europe, and we were using Google Translate to translate everything into English before running analysis on it. But we found research papers that showed that GPT-4 was potentially better at translations than Google Translate was. Yeah. And it was better at the nuances of like localized language and phraseology and stuff like that. So, really, really interesting in that, I think we'll test this on a future project. We'll run some tests using, probably the OpenAI APIs to translate some content, run it alongside Google Translate and see what produces better results. But this was I think this was on the research site, what's it called? Archive. Archive. So really interesting, the beginnings of new research around these large language models and what they're able to do. And you would imagine, actually, it kind of makes sense they're quite good at translations if they've analyzed that much language data and patterns in it, then it makes a lot of sense. So that's something that we're going to look at for future projects, which I thought was super interesting. Yeah,
definitely. Also, just on the work front, something else we've been doing is really interesting. With a professional services firm, is using our tools and our processes around the strategy piece, and coming up in a 4 or 5 week sprint with, I think it was 100 impactful AI initiatives.
110, yeah.
110
areas, yeah.
Right, which again goes to show, and again, how long would that take you typically to go through that whole process, and of course we're improving as we go, but I think that's a really interesting case study. Obviously narrowing that down to a couple of more actionable pieces, and we're doing that in quite a number of cases, more and more, and that's, I think, a big use case for AI for this year in that terms of budget is, like I said, the insight piece, but the actionable piece as well. But obviously stepping back a little bit, that whole strategy bit of, well, what do we do first? Where are the highest impact areas, whether it be production, marketing, operations, workflow, HR and people management, all really interesting areas to go with. But we're finding we're getting so many so quickly, and then we're narrowing it down into the highest impact, lowest complexity. Yeah. And that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Really good. Really good. And one of the challenges actually with a lot of this stuff is just the compute power needed, right? So we're running some projects with open source LLMs. They take a lot of juice to run, as opposed to something like an OpenAI where it's a hosted service and you're just, you're using their infrastructure. But the amount of juice you need to run these things, in particular GPUs, right? The graphics units is pretty crazy. I read this week that Meta were buying like another 300,000 or whatever. 350,000. Yeah. It's something like $10 billion, right? $10 billion of NVIDIA H100 chips. And it's my birthday coming up, actually. So
you've not stopped talking about it, frankly.
I was thinking maybe I found one on eBay. Could be a good birthday present. You can, it's pretty reasonably priced, $45,000.
Wait, I've just okayed the Pret subscription. That's about as far as we're going.
Same ballpark, isn't it?
We're not
I'm
there
just saying. If you want to get me something, there's an H100 on eBay. I'll send you the link. Just might be a nice
NFT.
gift.
I mean, we're past that now. But maybe a picture of a picture. Yeah, that might work.
But yeah, NVIDIA obviously doing very well out of this whole sort of arms race for GPU processing power right now. And are absolutely on a forward march, and everybody's battling. And it looks like, it's what you said the other week, is it looks like OpenAI are going to build their own chips. Looks like probably all the big players end up having to build their own chips.
Seems like it.
Because you got to fork out quite a bit of money. 20 billion Meta are forking out for these GPUs. So
big business, big stakes, right? But again, we're in, as we've mentioned several times, that general purpose technology, that once every 25 years wave. None of those big players are going to want to miss out on this, right? Microsoft obviously a year ago. I was asked a question. What did I feel? My personal opinion was the 10 billion-ish investment into OpenAI a good or a bad deal? I said it was a steal of a century. I think I was pretty right. So I'm just going to pick myself up there.
Yeah, that's it. No, you should talk about that more. Actually,
I'm going to.
Yeah, that's.
I've been wrong on everything else, but I got one thing right at the beginning of the year. But it is interesting now, just to pick up on the move between the OpenAIs and the local is an interesting direction of travel, isn't it, in the open source? Because again, we're testing things out, and again, Common or Guard and Maxwell PCs not quite there. It even to do something really basic on a 7 billion parameter Mixtral or smaller Llama version, Facebook Meta one is it killed your CPU up to 79-80%. Like that,
yeah.
So
and
it's
that's
not
one
quite there
person
yet.
running.
That's one person,
one exchange.
But it's really interesting because these whole compute data centers, this whole. It's quite hard to get to grips with how powerful they are and how many you need. But it's a great way of seeing it, isn't it? Of saying, right, on my local machine, right, it does that. Now I kind of get it. It's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah. And there's a bigger conversation around like the cost of compute, right? There's another strand that I don't know enough about, but is that there are some intelligent people saying that over time the cost of compute goes down.
Yeah,
and so and it is coming down, and it goes down to zero. That's what some people are projecting out as it goes forward. Clearly, we're not quite there yet. So hence the insane investments in these things, but
not investment advice. Nvidia 2 years ago would have been a great investment.
Exactly.